Joining us on the show, a very, very special guest, Jyotiraditya Scindia, one of Rahul Gandhi's closest associate and a senior leader in the Congress party, joins us right here. Thank you very much, Mr. Scindia, for being with us. As one of Rahul Gandhi's closest associates, what do you believe will be the changes within the party and outside with his elevation?
First of all, thank you very much for having me on the show. Supriya, with every new change in leadership brings to the fore new possibilities, new strategies, and a new dynamism. And I believe that Rahul Gandhi will also bring all of those facets to book. He has already displayed over the last couple of months his tenacity and his commitment at the grassroots level, which has sent the BJP in a tailspin in Gujarat over the last couple of months. And I think you will see a reaffirmation on the one hand of the Congress's vision, mission and commitment to its values, which are mainly upliftment of the poor and the downtrodden, an environment of tolerance and peace around the country, and a new dynamism towards looking at a new growth path for the youth of the country. That's on the external front. On the internal front for the party, I think you're going to see a utilization of talent across the board, whether it be from the northern, southern, eastern or western part of the country, and crossing pretty much all age groups as well. So it's going to be sort of a culmination of bringing to bear all the strengths of the Congress to carve out a new strategy for the pipeline of states coming in for elections as well as the next Lok Sabha election.
Indeed, I think you have a long list of calendars that you'll have to take as far as state assembly elections are concerned, but of course culminating in 2019. But Mr. Scindia, doesn't Rahul Gandhi encounter a very well-oiled, if I may say ruthless political machinery in the form of Narendra Modi and Amit Shah, and perhaps a lot more than any other Congress president before him has?
Absolutely. I think this is a machinery that is to use your phrase, quote unquote, very well oiled to reach the lows and the nadirs that have never been reached in political bickermonging. A very negative attitude towards the opposition, almost or rather completely labeling it as its enemy. For us, the BJP is the opposition. It's an opposition that we will fight against because we believe in the core ideals of India, the ideals of tolerance, the ideals of secularism, the ideals of economic growth for all. But for us, the BJP is an opposition. It is an adversary. It is not the enemy. That's the difference in the outlook of the Congress and the BJP. And as Rahul Gandhi himself has said, for India and for our country, having the BJP there is important. We will never wish for a BJP Mukt Bharat like the BJP has wished for a Congress Mukt Bharat, because we believe in dissent, debate being part of the engagement process of a vibrant democracy.
Okay, engagement of a vibrant democracy is a point well made, but what will be his key focus areas? Because many people believe the Congress's political fortunes have plummeted. So rejuvenating the grassroots and rebuilding the party will be his priority, or the priority will perhaps be to prove winnability, something that he hasn't done in state assembly elections. You've had a string of losses, and will he do that to shut up his detractors? So two-way process actually. One is to rebuild, rejuvenate, re-energize the party, and on the other hand, prove winnability by winning elections, by shutting up your detractors.
Well, I think that is for him to articulate and to execute. But I do believe that we have a very, very intense calendar ahead of us. And not only are Gujarat and Himachal going to be complete in terms of the electoral process by 14th of December, the results out by the 18th of December, but from the 18th of December to early December next year, which is less than 12 months in the calendar year, you have another 8 states going in for elections. So it's a very, very intense time for all mainstream national political parties in our country. following which within another 3 months of that, you have a national election. So you are basically, if I may use the phrase, we are going to be running on a treadmill, pretty much, and therefore the next 15 months are going to be a very, very intense 15 months. 15 months in which the Congress party will have to articulate not only its strategy vis-a-vis the 8 states that are going in for election, the points that you mentioned, strengthen the grassroots in these 8 states, bring forward leadership in these 8 states, but also in parallel will have to build the national agenda for the Lok Sabha election in April 2019. So it will be a twinning of a focus at the grassroots on local issues in these 8 states, as well as concentrating on national issues to build the agenda for 2019 Lok Sabha.
But in an era of a very strong Modi and a very splintered opposition, can he actually galvanize the anti-Modi voices together? I mean, in some sense, Sonia Gandhi was really the fulcrum for it. She was the glue for the anti-Modi bloc. She was the glue for the opposition parties to come together. She could speak to political leaders across the spectrum. Can Rahul Gandhi play the role of being the fulcrum or play the role of being the catalyst of this anti-Modi bloc?
So, the first point I need to put forward to you, Supriya, is that it's not good enough having an anti-Modi bloc as far as I am concerned, and I stand to be corrected. But I think India today, the India that you know, the India that I know, is a very aspirational India. It's an India that votes very, very clearly based on not only the failings of the current incumbent, but also on a positive agenda. So I think the Congress party has to also present a positive agenda, which is that if we were given the chance, why should Supriya vote for the Congress party? What is it that we will do in the 5 years that you give us your franchise, your blessings, that we will bring to the table and take India forward? I think that positive agenda also needs to be crafted. So whereas the concentration is on the failings of the current government, but we must also build an agenda for our 5 years in the future. Point number one. Point number two, I do believe that there is a very, very strong coalition, a strong coalition that is not anti-Modi in its outlook, but a strong coalition that believes in the fundamental values of our country, the fundamental values of economic growth bottom up, the fundamental values of equity, equitable growth for all, the fundamental values of tolerance in our country, respect for our individual voices, even though you and I may agree to disagree, which we have done in many debates in the past, and finally, an environment of secularism and peace under which you can progress for all in this country. So I think that's the agenda, and if that is the agenda, then you will have a coalition formed for all of these factors that I've talked about, as opposed to the construct that you have developed, which is an anti-Modi construct.
No, I like the fact that you're just not talking about this anti-Modi bloc. You're talking about an alternative that you can offer, an alternate agenda that you can give for the people to vote you on. And I think that that's heartening to see that at least the Congress is talking about this alternate agenda. But Mr. Scindia, the BJP has occupied spaces that the Congress once did. I mean, whether it's pro-poor, whether it's anti-corruption, left-of-center economic ideology. What is the new narrative that Rahul Gandhi can deliver? Because hasn't India really moved away from the tired promises of doling out loan waivers or reservations? I mean, how does he intend to seize the window of counter-narrative for the youth, for the aspirational? What is the plan up there?
Well, the first counter-narrative is in a 1.25 billion population country, a respect for each individual's voice in our country. The fact that you don't agree with me on some of the things that I've said doesn't mean that I clamp down on you. The fact that you don't agree with me doesn't mean that I stuff my decision down your throat. I must respect your views and beg, and I emphasize on that word, beg, to disagree with you, as opposed to saying it's my way or the highway. The second counter-narrative is really to look at a developmental model for India. That developmental model has to be based on not only the failings of this government, which has been no growth being provided to the economy, and this is somewhere an area where you have a great deal of expertise, Supriya. The fact that we are almost celebrating a recovery from 5.7% GDP growth rate to 6.3%, which is way below the lowest level that the UPA delivered in its 10 years. So not only high growth rate, but more importantly, high employment rates. Today we have almost about 18% of our youth that is educated unemployed. And I think that is the biggest travesty in India. This government has failed completely on its promise of 2 crore jobs a year and has delivered not even 1% of that total, between 1,35,000 to 2.5 lakh jobs per year. So I think jobs is going to be the major issue going forward. And finally, making sure that rural incomes go up, because unless the rural economy rises, you cannot provide consumption growth in India. And you and I will agree that in 2008-9, when there was an international financial crisis, it is actually rural demand that saved India and still delivered 8.8% growth in that particular year. So a combination of rural growth, employment for the masses of India, and an environment of peace and stability where tolerance is the key word going forward.
Tolerance should always be the key word in Indian politics. But Jyotiraditya Scindia, thank you very much for taking time out and speaking to us this evening. Congratulations to you and your newly elected party president. But there are many challenges before him, and I don't think any of them can be ignored. But thanks very, very much for taking time out and speaking to us.